My name is Tim Alcoholic.
Hey, Tim.
And Lord, thank you again for asking. I have a sobriety date is June 28th, 2013. And now I got the honor of speaking here. I think it was right after I picked up my year chip back in 2014. And I think I got to speak one more time right after I picked up my 2 years maybe. And now we're almost 5 years later, and for what I've learned and what they said, it's rang true. Like, it's only gotten better and better and better. But it wasn't always like that. So I'm just going to start from the beginning. I was actually born in New Haven, Connecticut, and my dad got a job in Texas when I was 2 weeks old, and we moved down to San Antonio, and I only lived there for a couple years, and we moved down to North Carolina, and I've been here ever since. I left and moved to other places, and I've always wound back here. This is where I got sober. It's the last place in the world I ever thought I was going to get sober, but you know, when you're ready to get sober and you've had enough pain, I believe you can get sober anywhere you want to. I got two parents. They're still married today. They've been together for, I don't even know how long, honestly, a long time. You know, they love each other. They showed us love growing up, me and my brother. I have an older brother named Drew, who's 3 years older than me. You know, they gave us everything in the world that we wanted growing up. My dad was always the dad that I wanted to be when I had kids. And for a long time, after I had children, I was the exact opposite. I was a bad father for a long time, and you know, I just thought I was going to be like that forever. But thank God that when I found AA and just found out that I was sick and I had this spiritual malady, that I got to work some steps that I could be the father for those children today. But anyways, you know, growing up as a kid, you know, did stuff kids did. I loved sports growing up. Even as a little, when I was 5, 6, I started playing basketball and soccer, and you know, I was pretty good at both sports. And my dad got me in rec leagues, and he coached my teams, and I got really good at soccer and really good at basketball. And you know, that's what I did. I'd go home after school, I'd do my homework with my mom. She was a school teacher, so she always made sure my homework was done first. And I'd go outside and I'd shoot basketball for hours. 3-pointers, free throws, layups, pretend I was playing against NBA teams out there, like, and that's what I did. And I loved playing basketball. I loved playing soccer too. I think that's what kept me out of trouble for a long time growing up. You know, until I got to high school, man. I was on travel basketball teams. I played in the middle school basketball, AAU. You know, that was my little dream growing up, that I one day go play college basketball somewhere, and you know what I mean. But once I got to high school, you know, everyone was a little bit taller, everyone was a little bit stronger, and that's when I kind of felt, you know, a little out of place. In middle school, you know, I had friends, I felt popular, and I was good at sports. I never really felt too out of place. I got to high school. My brother was 3 years older than me, so he was a senior when I was a freshman. You know, that was big for me. I looked up to him. I wanted to do what he was doing. You know, he was a role model for me at that age. I looked up to him. You know, I did the things he was doing. You know, I'm not going to talk about a whole lot of outside issues, but you know, first substance for me wasn't a drink. But I remember every morning of my freshman year, we'd go pick one of his buddies up from his house, and we'd do something on the way to school. And that was my 9th grade year, and I was late every day, and my grades started slipping real quickly. I played soccer that year. I didn't make the basketball team because of my grades already. I never applied myself, you know what I mean? Had pretty good grades in middle school, and you know, my basketball coach told me if I didn't have certain grades, I wasn't going to play on the team. And, I guess I didn't care, you know. I started hanging out with a different crowd of people once I got to high school, and you know, things started slowly changing. Even before I was like drinking alcoholically, like I knew something was going on. Like, we're at Kmart, when there's a Kmart here. I didn't even smoke cigarettes, but like my friends were smoking cigarettes, and I went to the store to steal cigarettes for them. You know, I wanted to fit in, you know what I mean? And I got called, of course, and they had to call my mom, and she was asking me if I was smoking cigarettes, and I told her no, and she didn't believe me. Well, like that's the stuff I did. Like I was stealing stuff at an early age like that just to try to fit in with people. You know what I mean? You know, later on in high school, I started drinking. I don't really remember the first time I actually got drunk. I remember my parents, every summer we'd go up to Cape Cod and Connecticut to a family's house, and they'd have little drinks on the table they forgot to drink. And me and my cousins would take sips of it. I don't ever think I got a buzz off any of that stuff, but I remember doing that. You know what I mean? Like I could see they were laughing and having a good time and what they were drinking, and I, you know, thought to myself, this must be why they're having such a good time. So I'm gonna take a sip of this and a sip of that and see if it has any effect on me. I did get through high school just barely. Like I didn't even know I was graduating until like day of. You know what I mean? My teacher gave me my cap and gown, and my grandparents are down from Cape Cod, and my aunt and uncle. So I thank God I did graduate, because they came down all the way to see me graduate. And I was telling my mom, like, yeah, I'm gonna graduate. In the back of my head, though, I really didn't know if I was gonna have to go to summer school and graduate after the summertime. And you know, those dreams and aspirations I had as a little kid, wanting to be good at sports, and my other friends I used to hang out with in middle school, they were putting their college applications in, and they had real life goals. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't have that. Like, I had no idea what I wanted to do after high school, and it really didn't bother me. You know what I mean? I'll just get a job and stay at my parents' house. And that sounded pretty good to me at that time. I did graduate, and I went to Sand Hills. Not even for a whole semester, I don't think. I started drinking more then. It was more, my brother actually went away to, back up a little bit, my brother went away to Western Carolina that year. He got into college my sophomore year before I graduated, so he was gone my last few years of high school. But he'd come home every summer, and he was bringing stuff back from college, and I was doing what he brought back down. And I was getting in trouble in school before I graduated, and my parents were kind of catching on, asking me if I was doing this, was I drinking, was I smoking, and I'd always just lie to them, look them right in the eyes and say, no, I'm good and well, I'd been drinking or I was high. You know what I mean? Like, I would lie, like, I would never tell the truth, ever, especially to my parents. But I think I was 18, my brother was away at college, and I found some checks that he had left in his closet, and I didn't have much money, so I wrote a check out, and I cashed it. I was good for that. Throughout my story, I'd always do stuff like that. Like when I needed something, I was going to take something from you, whether it was going to hurt you or not. But my brother found out, obviously, the bank called him. My parents found out, obviously, and they called, you know, cussing me out, like, why'd you steal my money? And my parents at this time maybe think I'm just smoking marijuana every once in a while, maybe, you know what I mean? Like, I'm drinking on a daily basis, and I'm doing other things. So my parents flip out, you know what I mean? I'm 18 years old, and they call a treatment center, and this was, I can't remember the day I was 18, so it was a long time ago, 18 years ago almost, and it was Samaritan Colony, and you know, I was 18, I was just trying to get out of trouble, you know what I mean? So my dad's like, I found this place that we can go to, and maybe they can help you out. And I said, okay, just so they would think that I was trying to do something to better my life. And I went to the colony. I remember being so sick. I remember cleaning the kitchen and going outside and throwing up. So I was that sick coming off what I was coming off of, the alcohol and drugs. And I was miserable. I remember calling my mom like 2 weeks in, telling her to come pick me up. She was like, no, you're going to stay there and you're going to finish this out. You know, I never finished anything growing up. I started something, halfway through, I'd be like, F it, and just quit. It's easier just to walk away. I was scared to fail is what it was. But anyways, I did that 28 days at the colony, and, you know, 18 years old, you couldn't tell me too much, you know what I mean? I knew everything, and they were talking about alcoholism, and I had a disease, and I'm thinking in the back of my head, I'm just having fun. I'm just getting started. I'm just doing this, and my parents will get off my back. So I did my little 28 days. Came home, and I continued to do what I was doing. At this time, I could hold a job down. I was still living with my parents, but I didn't have any responsibility. I didn't have any bills. I mean, I had a car that was paid for, that my dad paid for. I didn't pay for it. Living for free. So basically, all the money that I had from where I was working at would go to partying and doing what we did. Now, things got worse. You know, when I got 21 and we were able to go out to the bars, you know, it got bad real fast. Drinking, when I got introduced to the pain pills, the drinking on top of that, call it blackouts. Many nights going home, not knowing how I woke up, not knowing how I got home, and then realizing my friends telling me that I drove home. You know, thank God I never got a DUI. Thank God I never hurt anybody driving home. There's many nights, if I would have got pulled over, I know it wouldn't have been good. You know, when the drinking, I'd always, like, how do I explain, like, I always knew, like, if I wasn't going to be doing one thing, one substance, I was just going to drink and I'd be okay. Like, I'm still going to at least drink. You know what I mean? I can leave this other stuff alone and I'm just going to drink because I need to have something in my system so I just don't feel right when I'm sober. You know what I mean? And for the longest time, that's what I believed. Like, I can just drink and leave this other stuff alone and I'll be able to manage my life okay. And that wasn't the case for sure. I met a young lady. A few months after we were dating, she called me one day and she told me she was pregnant. Okay, well, I'm gonna get 2 jobs and I'm gonna get us a house to live in and I'm gonna quit doing what I'm doing, like all these false promises. Like in my heart, that's what I really wanted to do. You know what I mean? Like I really wanted to do this for her. I cared about her. But you know, that disease had a hold of me. Like halfway during the pregnancy, I got fired. I was bartending at Squire's Pub. And I was giving free drinks out. My boss found out, and I got fired. You know what I mean? Thank God, her grandparents had a place we could live in. So we moved in there after we had the kids. Ended up being twins. I had a boy and a girl. They're 12 now, and they're awesome. They're a handful right now, but they're awesome. And I was never a good dad to them for the first 7 years of their life. I was, like I said earlier, the exact opposite of what my dad was. Absentee, driving around the car with them, going to take money from people and just doing stuff illegally with them in the car, stuff I was not proud of. I didn't have any choice. I had to do what I had to do, and I was going to get it regardless. You know, I'd get hungover off the alcohol, and I'd get sick off the opiates I was doing. When I got sick, you know, all bets were off. I started stealing from everybody. When I say everybody, I mean it doesn't matter who you were. You know, all my morals that my parents instilled in me growing up, those were all gone. Like priceless heirlooms of my grandparents, like my mom can't ever get back, it's gone. Stole from my kids, I stole time from my kids, stole from my brother, some of my best friends. But like at the end of the day, I didn't care, you know what I mean? I had to go do what I had to do. And about 2 years into the kids, my twins being born, their mother had enough, she kicked me out of the house. And you know, I was kind of relieved, like I've been hiding this stuff from her for the last 3 years. Now I can go drink and do what I want to do, and I don't have to hide it. You know what I mean? I'm free. And it got worse real quick. 6 months later, I ended up back in the colony. A little more pain this time. You know, lost a few things this time, but I hadn't lost enough. I hadn't had enough pain. Maybe went to a few meetings after I got out of the colony the second time, and I just continued what I was doing again. You know what I mean? I just wasn't ready. Frank always told me, like, when you're ready to get sober, you're gonna get sober. I wasn't ready. So I went back out, moved to Charlotte this time. I was gonna try my 3rd stint in treatment. I went to a place called Rebound, and after 30 days in there, they'll let you sign out and you can go walk around uptown Charlotte It's not a good idea. You know, I was drinking and doing other things while I was in treatment there, like totally dishonest behavior. Ended up meeting a guy in treatment, and we thought it'd be a good idea to get an apartment together, because that's a good idea, you know what I mean? Get an apartment with some guy you just met at treatment. Get an apartment right in uptown Charlotte where there's nothing but clubs and bars at, and you're 20, 25 years old, when your kids are at home, and you're not spending any money, and you're just spending all your money on alcohol and getting high. My parents and their mom took care of those kids for the first 6 years of their lives while I was out running the streets. During this time, I'm getting arrested. I'm not going to go into all of it, but I'm in and out of jail, county jail, all of North Carolina, Raleigh, Charlotte, Moore County, Richmond County, like everywhere, in and out, in and out. And my parents would always bail me out. Sometimes they let me wait a little while, but like they enabled me for a long time. I know that today. At the time, I was happy they got me out, but that last time before I got sober, I'm glad they didn't get me out. I'm glad they didn't bail me out. I'm glad I had to sit in county and go to prison for a while. Like, that was the pain that I needed. If I wouldn't have felt that pain, I don't know if I'd be, standing here talking to y'all tonight. But I was in Charlotte and continued to do what I was doing. Came back when shit got bad. That's what I did. When stuff got bad, Greensboro, Charlotte, I was in Wilmington, I'd run back to mommy and daddy's house, you know what I mean? So I know I'm going to have a place to lay my head. And that's what I did for a long time. And I went back to treatment. This is my 5th time now. This is my 5th treatment center. I'm really, really thinking like this is going to be it. Like, you know what I mean? I'm on felony probation now. My parents pretty much like don't want anything to do with me. Like, they're still talking to me, but they don't trust me. Like, I don't have a key to the house anymore. I'm calling them before I come over. They just want to see me do better. My mom started crying herself to sleep at night. Like, I didn't see those things, you know what I mean? Like, my mom probably thought she was waiting on that phone call about, your son's either in the hospital or your son is dead. And like, that's got to be the worst feeling for a mom to have. And I probably gave her that feeling for about 15 years straight. But I went to a place called Path to Hope in Greensboro, in Lexington. When I got out, I really paid attention there. Like, life was pretty bad when I went there, and the treatment center was pretty good, and it was 12-step based. And like I said, they said you need to go to a halfway house afterwards in Greensboro, and I said that sounds like a good idea. Let's try that out. And so I moved to Greensboro. This is back in 2012, probably late 2011, early 2012. And I went to that halfway house, and I got a sponsor. It was another fellowship, but I did start to do step work with that sponsor. And, for the first 90 days doing that, like, life was getting good again. You know what I mean? I got a job, and I'm starting to feel and look better, starting to get some money in my pocket, got my car back running, like, and I'm thinking I'm doing all this stuff, you know what I mean, the whole time, like, damn, Tim, you're really, you're getting back on your feet, you know what I mean, like, thanks God I got it from here, you know what I mean, like, that's not the case. So I'm starting to feel better, starting to have some money in my pocket, and, the girls at the restaurant I'm working at are starting to look good, and, like, they want me to come out to a birthday party, and I'm not going to call my sponsor and ask them that, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to go out there and do what I want to do, you know what I mean? Tim's will, 100%, and that's what I did. And I back up, I remember being at the colony the second time, sorry to back up, but I remember calling my dad from the phone. This is how sick I was. Like, I called my dad, I had my phone call, it's like the 3rd weekend I was there, and he said, how you doing, son? I said, I'm doing all right. So I got good news. He said, what's that? I said, well, I just talked to Harold, and he told me that I'm a drug addict, I'm not an alcoholic, so I can still drink when I get out. like, I knew I was going to do something when I got out. Like, I had to do something. That was sick. So I'm in Greensboro, and I relapsed again, and I started doing some other stuff that I shouldn't be doing again. And shit got real bad again. And what do? I call mom and dad, and I'm coming home. Well, this is my last like little two-week run here before I get sober. And I don't want to talk too much more about what I was doing. I want to talk about recovery and the solution. But the last 2 weeks was bad. That's all I can say. It was real bad. I called back to the colony like I'm sick. I'm hurt. I lost all trust. My parents won't let me live with me. My brothers had it with me. Like I stole from my friends. My friends don't even want me around anymore. You know what I mean? Like I'm pretty much worthless. That's how I felt. Hopeless. That's how I felt. So I called, and they're like, yeah, we can get you in the colony again. You just have to go to the safe house. And I said, whatever you need me to do. He said, we need to go to detox first in Hamlet. I did that. Well, I never called my probation officer to tell him what I was doing. And I was at the safe house, and Butch was working there then. And Butch came into my room one day and said, Tim, there's somebody at the door for you. And I peeked around, looked at the door, and I seen handcuffs. I said, damn. I said, that's my probation officer, and he got me for absconding. So they took me back to Moore County, and he got me on a felony probation violation for not telling what I was doing, where I was at. And then when I got to Moore County jail, like, I kind of felt relieved. Like, I'm glad I was either there. I wanted to go there or the colony. Like, I didn't want to go back to the street. So, I mean, I know that's sick to say, but I was happy that I was locked up. And I stayed there for about a month. I called my parents and tried to, get bail money until my court date, and they said, no, you're going to sit in there. And I was there for about 30 or 40 days, maybe just sitting there. And I went to court, and they sentenced me to prison. So I went and did my little prison time. It wasn't long, but it was long enough, man, for me. I remember being on that transfer bus from Carthage going to Craven and just staring out that window and just thinking to myself, this is it. It's like, Tim, this is your life now. Like, either you're going to be on this bus a lot more, or you're going to be dead. So you need to do something different when you get out. I did my processing at Craven. I got to Odom. My buddy, he won't mind. My buddy Andy was there at Odom, thank God. Like, to see if it's a familiar face when you're in prison, you get to see someone you grew up with. Like, that's one of my best friends growing up. And he was there on the yard when I got there. That was a relief for me just to know somebody. Because, I'm not gonna lie, I was scared. You know what I mean? I'm a skinny little white boy. I'm about to get messed up. This ain't gonna be good. But everything went good. Like, God surrounded me the whole time I was in prison. Like, nobody tried me, nobody messed with me. I did a lot of reading, played basketball. And that was about it. I had a lot of time to think. And I was writing my parents and writing letters to my brother. And just, they didn't believe a word I was saying. And, they had no right to believe me. You know what I mean? I didn't believe myself. I didn't know if I could even believe myself either. Like, was I really going to try something different when I got out this time? Because in the past, it's been proven that every time I say I'm going to do something, I never follow through with it. When I got out, when I did get out, I had nowhere to live. I was homeless. My parents wouldn't let me stay with them. My brother wouldn't let me stay. I got a buddy back there who just got out of the colony. And he called me, and he knew I just got out of prison, and he said, what are you doing? And he just got out of the colony, so he's like, you need to do this and this and this. And I'm like, all right. Well, come pick me up and we'll go to a meeting tonight. So I'm going to take you to a meeting, and we're going to go by Bethesda, and we're going to see if we can get you to live there for a little while. I said, cool. And he took me to Bethesda that day, and he got me a place to live. Like, I didn't know anybody over there. He introduced me to everybody, and thank God for Bethesda today. I got to stay there for the first 6 months of my recovery. He took me to a meeting that night. He introduced me to a man. That man's still my sponsor today. I thank God for that, man. Forever grateful, for sure, for that man. He introduced me to the 12 Steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. He introduced me to a God of my understanding. He introduced me just how to be a better man than the man I was, how to be a father, like all those things I wanted to be growing up. Like, he helped mold me. Like, he just showed me the way, you know what I mean? Like, we met here every Wednesday. I walked in the Bethesda house over here. We met before the newcomers meeting, and we did step work, and we got busy. There were some weeks we didn't agree, but pretty much he was here every Wednesday just like he said he was. And I'll tell you what, like, they're not lying when they say releasing the steps. It's like, I heard like, I was miserable for me early on in recovery. Like, it should have been really bad for me. Like, but at that time, like, it was perfect. You know what I mean? I had no responsibilities. I couldn't be around my family. You know what I mean? All I did was like engulf myself in AA. Meeting after meeting, step work with my sponsor, and going back to the house and going to sleep, repeat. And that's what I did. And it was just what I needed, you know, especially early on. You know, the steps, man, like, that's where it's at for me. That's where I got that God today. Like, without God in AA, like, I wouldn't be standing here right now talking to y'all, that's for sure. I wouldn't have that family that Laura was just talking about. I wouldn't have anything. But anyways, we continued to do our step work. Got to the 4th step with them, and we met here a few weeks later, and we did the 5th step. You know, that was a big change for me when we did that 5th step. That obsession, I don't know if it was that day or a couple days later, but it was relieved. Like, and that is a gift, because for a guy like me, I never thought I could go 24 hours, a minute, 30 seconds without thinking about taking a drink or doing something else. And man, what a feeling that is, like, not have to wake up and say, well, who am I going to rob today? Who am I going to hurt today in order to get what I need to get? Like, that is God for sure. That's not me. I moved out of the Bethesda house about 6 months sober. My brother and I had built a little relationship again, and they had an extra room at their house. And I moved out of the Bethesda house after I got done with the steps with my sponsor, and I still continued to do what he taught me. I was still scared. I was only 6 months sober, man. Like, I'd been drinking and getting high for so long. Like, even my parents, you know, I heard my dad one day was like, Tim, I don't know what you're doing. Whatever you're doing, you keep doing it. Like, in the back of their head, like, I knew they were like just waiting. Like, I always thought like they were having conversations at the house. Like, any time now, Tim's gonna mess up again. You know what I mean? Like, putting bets on it, because it's gonna happen. It hasn't happened yet. I didn't stay with my brothers too long. You know, they had some stuff going on with the lady he lives with. It wasn't the best situation to be at 6 months sober, that's for sure. But I stayed sober throughout it. I met a girl in the rooms early on. Probably wasn't the best idea either, but it worked. You know what I mean? We made it work, and we got a beautiful family today because of it. And I get to see like miracles all the time today. I get to see disasters too. You know, like, I've read with guys, I got sponsees that I've read with. I've seen pick up year chips, 2-year chips, and I've had sponsees that have died and passed away and are gone. That's why I know, like, this disease is real. It wants us dead. It wants my family dead. Like, it wants us. Those sponsees, those guys had families and kids. Their mom and dad and their kids can't see them ever again because of this disease. You know what I mean? I'm grateful. It's not me, though. It might sound selfish. You know, call it what you will, but I'm glad it's not me. They had to put it 6 feet deep. You know what I mean? I can call my parents today. They love me, and I love them. You know what I mean? I got to make amends to them. I got to make amends to a lot of people that I hurt. And just to tell them, most of them, just to keep on doing what you're doing. Some are, you know what I mean, like, you know, whatever. They didn't believe me. They didn't think I was going to continue to do what I was doing. And that's cool, you know what I mean? I did what I was supposed to do, and that's what my sponsor told me. He said, as long as you did your part, that's all you got to worry about. But, you know, since being sober, almost, it'll be 5 years in June, like, I've got to see so much good stuff happen. I know prayer works, for sure. I mean, I pray for guys out here in the room tonight when they were in prison, when they were out in the streets, still drinking and still doing what they do. And I see them in these seats today. You know what I mean? I know prayer works, that's for sure. I got a stepson now too. I got married. It'll be 2 years in July. His name's Cam. And I got Kaden and Haley, they're 12. And I got my little daughter Ellie, she was a month Thursday. And you know, I got to build a house this past year for my family. Like, that's what I always wanted to do. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to have a house for my kids and a backyard they could play in and have like neighborhood kids they could play with. Like, they got that today, and that's only because of God and AA. I wouldn't have any of this if it wasn't for that. I just love to help guys, you know what I mean? Like, life's gotten real busy lately, like with the kids, work, especially with the newborn. Like, I haven't been able to make but like 1 or 2 meetings a week. But that's what, like, I think God had me like do all these meetings the first couple of years. Like, I'm not gonna be able to make as many meetings anymore. But my phone rings, I'm gonna answer it. I still make my commitments to go to the colony once a month, talk to the guys. When my sponsees call, I'm gonna answer the phone, and I still make my commitment to be with them every Sunday, like, no matter what's going on, unless, you know, I'm out of town or something like that. But I make those commitments and I stick to them today. You know what I mean? I came in here with a head full of doubt, and these last 5 years have been nothing but a road full of promise for me. I couldn't ask for a better life. It's stressful. If any of y'all have teenagers, almost like my kids are about to be teenagers, and they, you know, they're in pain sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, they think they know everything just like I used to, and it's kind of scary. You know, seeing that in them, I see myself in them sometimes. I'm like, damn. I said, I hope they did not go down the same road I did. Like, I know if I continue to do this and they see it the way I'm living, like, that's all I can do is just be an example for them. I don't have too much more to say. I can just, you know, stop a little early, but I'm just grateful to be here. Almost 5 years sober. Like, it took me 15 years to pick up a 1-year chip. I never want to forget where I came from. I never want to stop seeking God the way that I was seeking Him early on in recovery. I know some days, like, I don't seek Him like I did back when I first got sober. I got to remind myself, like, just because you got a few years sober, you're still the same sick Tim that came in here in 2013. You need to help people, and you need to seek God, and everything else will work out. Thanks.